So we are back, and let's talk about wrestlers who came from the Middle East. I was going to have it specifically towards Saudi Arabia, but that would have been a really short video.
Not Mustafa Ali.
Mansoor.
And that's it.
No, there are actually two.
Oh, okay.
So let's talk about the Middle East. Now, each individual thing of what the Middle East is going to be different. This is, I would say, quote unquote, the official.
Is this from like CIA or something like that, or fact book about?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. That's
yes.
Pretty
so obviously the countries that are highlighted like this are the
and then the cream color.
Yes, they're the cream color. That is the Middle East. Period. So like Georgia, Amar, Turkmenistan, they're not a part of the Middle East, but Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Iraq, Iran, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, where Peanut Gallery is. That's Yemen.
Yeah, Yemen.
Afghanistan, which is kind of
it's
kind of a weird one. Peanut Gallery is just showing off.
I'm really trying to like figure.
They're showing off the Red Sea here.
There's Yemen.
Peanut Gallery's arms are the same color as these countries, so Peanut Gallery is the Middle East.
I am. I have the drawing.
I just noticed that. I didn't even put two together. Like literally the same color. That's funny. So this is the Middle East. So we're talking about wrestlers who are either born within this area, or they were descendants of this.
Well, let's
so
talk about some of that.
Even direct parents. So one of them, which is obvious, is the Iron Sheik. He was born in, I think it was, so he was born...
Was he Jordanian?
No. So he was born in Doudrop, the Semenian province of the Imperial State of Iran.
Oh, nice.
So he was born in...
He's Iranian.
He's Iranian. So not only that, so number one, big supporter of the show. Like, he loves this show. He tweets about us all the time.
He does.
He does.
Where's the little jabronis?
He is. We are. So the Iron Sheik was a very accomplished amateur wrestler. And I don't think a lot of people realize how actually strong the Iron Sheik is. So those little, those Iranian dumbbells that he swings over his head, each one of those is like 60 pounds. They're not small. And him doing this, there was a lot of core strength. Please stop.
Sorry.
You're having way too much fun. So he was, so he did compete for a spot in the amateur wrestling for Iran in the 1968 Summer Olympics in Mexico City. But he moved to the United States in the 1970s. And he was the assistant coach.
So it was before the Islamic Revolution.
Yes, he left right at the Islamic Revolution, actually.
Because the Islamic Revolution was 79.
Yes, he left right before that. Because he was the assistant head coach to two different United States Olympic squads for 1970 and 1972. And he was actually the main assistant coach for, I believe, the 1974 Summer Olympic wrestlers for the United States.
Nice.
So, very accomplished amateur wrestler, even though he was not on the main stage, he trained them. I mean, I think that's even more prestigious than being a person on screen, quote unquote. But obviously, the Iron Sheik, we don't need to go too much into his accolades. One of the pillars of the early 90s rock and wrestling connection sort of era.
Late 80s.
Dropped the belt to Hulk Hogan, really starting that, being that quintessential heel. Like, when you think of heel, you think of the Iron Sheik.
Oh, yeah.
Former WWF champion, beating Bob Backlund, who was, unbeatable for many of years. And he beat him. And then winning the tag team champions. And then, obviously, 2005 WWE Hall of Fame, among with a ton of others. So let's talk about one that I think was signed for WWE for a while, which was Shada Basinzia. I butchered that immensely, but we're just going to
did.
roll with
I
it.
have no idea who you're talking about.
She was not on camera other than the Mae Young Classic, I think, for 2011? No, 2016. She was on there. She was the first female wrestler from the Middle East. She was from Jordan to sign with the WWE.
Nice.
And that's pretty much the only accolade that she had, at least up until this point.
Because she didn't sign... Because she didn't, like,
She
sign
did.
a full-time.
No, she did sign a full-time contract with them. They did not use her.
Oh.
But she was actually a lot taller than a lot of the other wrestlers, which was kind of a detriment because she had the Great Khali treatment. Not her fault, though.
Right, which is kind of what we've...
Right. We talked about that earlier. So let's talk about, obviously, Mansoor, who's still signed with the company.
Oh, hey!
He was born in...
I know that guy.
Right. He was born and raised in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
And I don't believe he was actually affiliated with the royal family or any of the descenduates. I think he was actually one of the commoners.
Yeah, he was a commoner.
Yep.
He was a plebeian.
He was a plebeian who worked his way to getting to the point, and I think he's a fine wrestler. He's fairly tall, but very lanky.
He's aight.
He's aight.
They're not going to use him.
Now,
Anyways.
one that I did not expect when I was doing my research was Noam Dar. So Noam Dar,
Yeah, isn't he from Oman or something like
no.
that?
So he spent the majority of his life in Ayr, Scotland, but he was born and he lived the first 5 years of his life in Israel.
Oh.
So he was born in Yaakova, Israel. I butchered that. I know that.
So like geographically the Middle East, but not culturally the Middle East.
Yes, geographically. We're only doing geographically Middle
Oh,
East.
you're gonna be very literal. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna be. That's why I showed the map. Israel's a part of that.
I know.
So yes, he was born in the most technical version of the Middle East, and he lived his first 5 years of life in the Middle East.
Yeah.
And then he was, I think his parents they weren't military, but their work transferred them to a couple of different places. And when he was born, they were in Israel. And right now he is obviously still signed with the WWE. He is the current UK Heritage Champion. And that made him actually the first Israeli-born champion in the company's history.
Huh.
So really cool. Now
Cute.
this is Israel, not Iran. Those are two totally different countries.
Yeah.
Now these are the people that were born and raised in some way, shape, or form within pro wrestling. I couldn't really find a whole lot of wrestlers. Actually, I couldn't find any wrestlers that were outside of WWE that were born and raised in the Middle East.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was really hard. I actually looked at all major wrestling places. I'm pretty sure I missed some, but I did this literally today at like 2. So let's talk about wrestlers who
have ancestors.
who have ancestry within them, either parents, grandparents, etc. Let's talk about Sami Zayn.
Syrian.
Yep, both parents were Syrian immigrants that went to Toronto, and that's where Sami Zayn was born. Mm-hmm. Obviously, he would not be allowed within.
No, he's not allowed. He's just opposed to Saudi Arabia because of
how they treat Syrians.
Yes. Because of the war and all that crap.
Right.
Blah, blah. That we're not a geopolitics channel.
Well, when we talk about this, we kind of have to be.
A little bit, but we don't have to talk about the geopolitics of it.
Right, not the geopolitics, but there's an importance of why he doesn't go to Saudi Arabia, and that's an importance. And when you want to explain that, you have to be at least geopolitical within the sphere of Sami Zayn to an extent.
And because of that, people like Kevin Owens don't go because he supports Sami Zayn more than...
Right, and Sami Zayn is very in touch with his Syrian heritage. So there's that. So let's talk about Aaliyah, who's fucking bae for me right now. She has a Syrian and an Iraqi parent, but was also born in Canada. So more immigrants coming directly from those areas into this. And now keep in mind as well, once again, Canada has a fairly large Middle Eastern population from multiple different personalities, and I believe that all of them kind of stay within that realm.
Yeah, they do.
Because I hate saying this.
I mean, Detroit's kind of an extension of that too.
Right, especially Battle Creek.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of why that you have those two totally different countries sort of coming together and making this hot slice of bay. But, that is what it is. I'm sorry. I'm my penis will fuck the rainbow.
Right,
and and the last one, which I think will be very, very interesting, is Mojo Rawley. Mojo Rawley, his father was Palestinian, and his mother is half Iran. Or Tehran. I'm sorry, Tehran. So, Iranian. She's from Tehran.
Tehran. Okay, so she's Iranian or Persian.
Yes.
And the dad is from Pakistan.
Yes.
Okay.
So yes, so there is that kind of thing there, which obviously we don't need to go into the thing with whole Mojo. Anybody who's been watching wrestling for a while knows his heritage, but I thought that one was kind of interesting. I didn't even know that he had any form of Middle Eastern heritage.
I mean, in that case, you can say the Khans are also from.
Yeah, the Khans as well. I didn't want to be too obvious with that.
Tony is the son of Shahid,
who is a Pakistani immigrant.
Yes, he is.
And that is another one. I didn't put him on the list because I thought I had enough. Actually, I did. So, those are just kind of some interesting little tidbits of some either Middle Eastern direct wrestlers or some of them that are descendants. If I miss anybody, let me know, totally, because I kind of like looking at some of the heritage of wrestlers and how diverse it is. Actually, one of the things that I really want to talk about is sort of race relations within WWE, but we'll talk about that when we come to it.
That's going to be a heavy topic.
It's going to be a little heavy. I kind of like how Peanut Gallery has like the multicolors. He became Waldo.
Oh, I know. Where's Peanut Gallery?
So when we come back, we're going to be talking about Rey de Reyes.
Mick.